Today we're talking about a downfall as you saw it in the thumbnail. It is Forever 21. And I remember Forever 21 when I was in high school, and right now I'm 33, and I remember in high school it was 2009, and Forever 21, for all the girls there, that was the store to go to. If you did not go to Forever 21, I don't know what you were doing. At least that's how I remember it. And so a little background is that it founded by these two South Korean people, Do Won and Ching Shao Chang. I think that's how you pronounce it. Probably not though. And so it grew very, very quickly. And then all of a sudden their daughters or their kids got involved. And all of a sudden it just started getting rocky, and it reached its peak in like 2015, and then bankruptcy in 2019, and now we're at the point where they're about to close down, and there's news articles saying that they're going to be closing all the stores, some of them, and it's just not good. So what really happened is that when you run a brand, and I've get asked questions like, hey, you should do your own hat collections, I buy one or two, and something like that. And I said, to run a brand is one thing, but to run a clothing company is a whole nother ball game. You are running on super slim margins. So in the case of Forever 21, I looked it up, and they were running at about 5 to 10% gross profit of everything sold. Because what a lot of people don't know is that, hey, if you don't like it, you'll return it. It's just like, hey, if you're gonna send something out to a customers and then they're like, it doesn't fit me, I don't really like the quality, who's gonna carry the return costs, right? It's all Amazon, right? When you buy it from Amazon and you're like, I got Prime, and you ship it, and you're like, you pay for shipping with the Prime membership, and then you get it back, and you're like, hey, I don't want it anymore, and somebody has to fulfill that and check that out, right? And those are all costs involved to it, and so you didn't only lose out on the sale, you lost out on shipping costs, handling costs, and everything else. So if you're running at a 10%, like if 10 people from 100 return it, or 1 out of 10, then you're not making any money at all, and people are wearing your brand then, right? So it's like, it's super slim, it's so competitive. And one thing I've noticed is that the ever-changing landscape of everything, right? The markets, the trends. And so you need to really, really hire the right people to make sure that once you're in it to win it, you have the right people, you staff correctly, right? And this is where it comes in really, really interesting, because when you're in the hiring space and you got to hire a designer, it's not just hiring somebody. You got to hire people that understand trends, that are interested in it, and then these trends need to come to for blossoming, if that's even a word, right? So if you're in a clothing store and you're like, hey, I want to design, and this is what I want to do, you need to know that, hey, the market trends, right? Because if you look at the case of Forever 21, and their target audience was like younger people, affordable stuff, and now these people that grew into it and were like all obsessed about it are probably not into it after they're 21, right? So then you have then they go for Lululemon or something else, right? And so then you constantly need to either attract these people or change your branding around so you have like sub brands that they can then through their life kind of come and be part of your journey, right? And so it is really, really competitive to do. And most of these brands, like Rue 21 or something else, also struggles, right? And we see it with Nike. Nike had problems. And so it is just absolutely crazy when you're trying to think about, hey, let me start a clothing brand, because it is really, really competitive. But if you do it right and it's a hit and people will love it and people will go out, then you have something really, really valuable. And then the question becomes two things you can kind of do, right? You can go for quality and pricey, or you can go for cheap and volume, right? And then it's like, hey, what do you want to do? And those are the questions that Forever 21 had to face, and they kind of had with their daughters, from the parents, they kind of had internal struggles. And that's why I always say to people, like, yo, your business, the second generation has like a huge, huge failure rate. And people say, oh, I should start a business, I should do all that. And they ask me like, hey, I got laid off, let me start my business today. And this is one of the hardest things to do, because what are you gonna sell? Most businesses, when you look at entrepreneurs when you look at my business and you're looking at stuff that I did, I was not profitable for a very long time. I had to live off of savings. I had to really go out and do this and like commit to it. And the thing is when you have a 9 to 5, you can somewhat turn off the laptop and say, I'm going to enjoy this. But if you're in business for yourself, you're always selling. You always need to be like, hey, if you're not going to be closing today, you're going to have to be closing on Monday, right? And I'm at a spot now where my ticket price is so low and I have so many people in it that I can say, I don't need your sale because it's not a high ticket item. But if I sell $4, $5, $6, $7,000 worth of tickets, or I sell $2,000 worth of stuff, and then I have that, but then I make only $500, $600. I constantly need to be selling, right? And so the thing is when you're thinking about starting out, you're like, I'm gonna, weigh in and do it. You need a real financial polster that will help you, because it's going to cost you in business license, insurance. It's going to cost you in employees, and do mundane tasks that you don't want to do, because the time you're doing QuickBooks, the time you're doing sending out invoices, the time you're doing setting up stuff that you don't want to do, first of all, take you way longer, and you can outsource that, right? And even though I always tell Americans, like, hey, you got to hire Americans or do whatever, when you're starting off and you're not profitable, you need to get the cheapest labor possible, right? Because if you can go out and you can get funding and they'll give you like almost like crowdfunding, or you go to VC funding and they'll just hand you 5, 6, 7, 800,000, you can afford to hire somebody in the United States. But if your ticket price is low, or you're just starting off and you have to fund yourself, you need to go out and get VAs from all over the world that can support you so you can stay afloat. And I totally get that, because you do not have the money to pay big dollars to people unless you can get some government contracts and do all that. But that is also not that easy to do. And it's still windy like crazy in Vegas. So yeah, it is not advisable. And especially if you're in the second generation. So if your parents have raised you, done all that, and then they're like, I'm going to give you a business to run, and they ran it super profitable, the numbers do not support it. I'm going to put them on the screen right here. And it is just not good when you think about, hey, let me just start a business. And I think a lot of people that are laid off right now, or are in the process of it and saying, hey, I might start my own thing. I'm going to start my own YouTube channel. I'm going to start my own thing. And I'm going to make money from YouTube. I'm going to do all this, and I'm going to be an influencer. And that is even harder now than it was before. Because now, when you're an influencer, you get paid by views. So you're going to be chasing views. You're going to be chasing clickbaity thumbnails. You're going to be chasing all these things that you want to do. And I used to do that. I used to be like, let me get more views, let me do that. And then I came to the realization, it's like, yeah, that's not what I want to do, because I reached that point like around December where my channel was going all like this, and it's like, yeah, I can make it, I can do all that. But then there was the one point of people saying, oh, you should do more edits, you should do more of this, you should do more of that. And then comes the question of, am I still going to provide the same amount of value? It isn't still going to be like raw like this, where I just go on my walks because I need to do my walks anyways. Or should I just go full force and do studios and be like every other creator? And then to that word, I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'd rather have 200 viewers that actually enjoy my content on a regular, and that I can actually impact and tell them about my life stories, about my wins, my failures, and hopefully they'll learn something and get better at it and know, hey, these were pitfalls, probably shouldn't do that, and make good decisions, than a million people that just tune in for something, right? So that was kind of the route that I've taken. I don't know if it's a great route, but from some of these comments of people that watch me all the time, it's like, okay, I picked the right route. And when people message me, because I get these messages on LinkedIn that say, I got laid off, make me rich with a YouTube channel. And I say, that's going to require a huge starting capital. You gotta hire somebody that's going to do audio edits, that's going to do video edits. You're going to have to buy a nice camera. You're going to have to do lavish videos, because how are you in the market of YouTube? How are you going to compete? Like, you're going to compete into a world of where there's a lot of money and a lot of views. And so if you want to compete in that business, just like in the closing business, you need to be either so unique and have these ideas that nobody else has, or then like I watched this MKB or whatever his name is, and he did but not all the time. So I watched him, and he said the only thing that tech reviewers have differently is their setup. So that's why he has like a $9,000 camera, because every tech reviewer gets sent the same tech, right? So if you review a Samsung, everybody gets a Samsung phone, right? If you're a car reviewer, everybody gets the same car, right? And so how do you differentiate yourself? Yeah, it's a little bit about your personality, but most of it is going to be the quality of your content, the quality of your stuff. And so it's going to require a bigger budget for you to do that, right? And so I always say, if you're doing it for the money, that's not good enough. You need to do it because you want to do it. Because once you do it, and saw somebody else talk about it, it takes about 3 years for you to make your first dollar on YouTube, and I think that's about right. And then all of a sudden, you start making it. So if you wanted to make money today, you had to start a few years ago. And you can see my channel. You can go all the way back. I used to do sketches. I used to do all kinds of investment strategies. I did all these things, right? Just because I wanted to do it, and I see what I've wanted to take, and then, yeah. And so then I got blood tests done, and they said, you need to be walking 20, 30 minutes every day. And so I started doing that. I said, let me just share my days, share what I'm seeing in my entrepreneurship journey, my lessons. And I wish I had a channel like this where I could have viewed and like shared it truthfully, honest, and like non-biased from business owners that are at the same spot where I'm at, because I'm not that so I'm still relatable to most of these people, because my business isn't that financially successful that I'm making millions of dollars each year, and then I can go out and say, you know what, I'm going to buy a Lambo, I'm going to buy another Lamborghini and a Rolls Royce. I'm not there yet, right? And so people that want to start off their own thing can watch my channels and see, hey, there are struggles. There's times where customers ask for refunds, where you're like, there goes my profit. And hey, now there's no salad, there's no money at the end of the day left to take for me. But hey, employees got paid, everything else got paid, right? And so there are all these ups and downs as entrepreneur. And either you're cut out for it or you're not. But delayed gratification is going to be key regardless of what you're going to do, right? And so if you're thinking about starting a clothing company, man, you're going to have some crazy times, I'm telling you. It's going to be a fun ride though, because if you want to do it, and I never discourage people not to do it, because if that's your dream, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it. But you need to be willing, determined, and you got to be willing to put in the blood, sweat, and the tears, and the nights of you not sleeping, because there's going to be customers, there's going to be bad reviews, there's going to be people that have no-name profiles that are going to leave you shitty reviews, that want refunds, and then they send you back the wrong thing. And people in the world of selling on Amazon and selling on that will send you not even a hat that's yours back, and they will process it. So I'm telling you, it comes with a whole bunch of pitfalls, a whole bunch of successes. So let me know what you think, and drop a comment below, like and subscribe. And this was my entrepreneurship talk today, because I feel like a bunch of people want to be it, but not a lot of people can do it. And I know a lot of people that are doing great, and it took them years. So yeah, so this is my journey, and I'm glad to have you part of it. And I said this the other day, I'm so glad that you joined me for 14 minutes, 5 minutes of your day. And yeah, it's a true honor for me to have you be in Las Vegas walking with me. And yeah, I mean, look at it. It was windy today. Hopefully I can edit this out, and so you can see it But if you haven't, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.